Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. On this video I'll be showing you how to make a bucket hat. I'll be showing you how to draft the pattern and also how to stitch it. If you want to learn how to draft the pattern and also how to stitch it, please watch the video till the end. And do not forget to subscribe. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe, and also recommend this video to with your friends. So moving forward, all you'll be needing is just your head circumference. Measure your head and then you take out 2 inches from it. So for me, my head measurement is 23 inches minus 2 inch. I have 21. So what you need to do is we're going to, a bucket has 3 layers. You have the top, you have the side panel, and you have the brim. So I've gone ahead to just draw a mini picture of what that would look like. So I have the top, I have the side panel, and I also have the brim. So first I'm going to show you how to get to the top first. All you need to do is you divide your top, that's your head, by 6.28. so mine is 21 inch divided by 6.28. I have 3.4, and then I went ahead to approximate it to 3.5. So basically for the top, the circle for the top, you'll be needing your head circumference and then divide it by 6.28. that is for a full circle, and then you have 3.5. Okay, so we're going to go to my pattern paper and draft out that 3.5. so what you need to do is, on your pattern paper, you fold your fabric, your paper into 4. You fold it into 2 first, and then you fold it into 2 again, that is into 4. Then next up, you take your tape, you place it on the folded edge, and then you mark 3.5. It's that simple. Okay, so you place your tape on that folded edge and then you mark 3.5. so after you've done that, next up we're going to just cut out. And also take note that when you're cutting 2 pieces, one for your main fabric and one for the lining piece. And also make sure that you also cut out your interfacing. So if you're not using a very thick material to do this, make sure you have a very thick interfacing so that the hat doesn't end up coming out looking a little bit too loose and it's not gripping your head the way you want it, which I said earlier on. And then I added half an inch seam allowance to it, that is making it 4 inches. And then I'll go ahead and cut out the pattern. Okay, so next up, after that, we're going to move over to the side panel. So for you to get the side panel, all you need to do is to take your head circumference, which is 21 inch, and then you divide it by 4. Take your head circumference 21 inch divided by 4. So 21 divided by 4, I have 5.25. so 5.25 would be the length of the side brim, and we're going to be making use of 3.5 inch for the width. So on my pattern paper, I'll go ahead and draw 5.25 on the straight line, and then at the side I'll draw 3.5. I'll mark 3.5. so I'll connect it and then cut out that rectangle out, that rectangular shape on my pattern paper. So I've gone ahead to do that and I've cut out that shape. Next up, I'm going to transfer that shape to my pattern paper, and then what I'll do before transferring it, I'm going to divide the paper into 4. So I'm going to just go ahead and draw 4 lines on my paper, and then I'm going to slash up those lines. And remember that when you're slashing up your lines, you're not slashing to the end, you're slashing and then leaving some centimeters away from the end of the paper. So that's what I've just gone ahead to do. I slashed it up, and then I placed it on my fresh pattern paper, and then I opened it up by 0.25. you don't have to open it too wide, otherwise, like I said, it will be too wide for your head and it won't fit nicely. So I open up each of the lines by 0.25, and then I tape it down on my pattern paper, and also use a marker to mark out the curve at the top of the paper and also at the bottom. And then next up, I'm going to be adding half an inch seam allowance at the side, at the bottom, and also at the top of the pattern. So now we are done with the side panel. Moving over to the brim. So for your brim, all you need to do is to measure what you have at the bottom of your side panel. So I have 7.5 there, and then 7.5 I'm going to just place it on my pattern paper and mark 7.5 for the length of the brim, and for the width I'll be using 3 inches. So after cutting out that length of 3 inch, and after cutting out that length of 7.5 and width of 3.5, I'll do the same thing. I'll place it on my fresh pattern paper and slash open, mark 4 lines on the paper before placing it on my pattern paper. Mark 4 lines on the paper and slash open the lines, and also make sure that it not slash all the way to the end. After slashing up the lines, I'll place it on my pattern paper and then open it by 0.5. So after opening it up by 0.5, I will just tape it down on the pattern paper and then draw out the shape at the top, at the sides, and at the bottom. After drawing out the shape, I'm also going to be adding seam allowance at the top, at the bottom, and at the side. So now we are done with drafting the pattern for this hat. Next up, we're going to place them on our pattern paper, on my fabric. Remember that each of the pattern you are going to be cutting 2 pieces. So meaning that for the top you'll be cutting 2 pieces, one for the main fabric and one for your lining, and the side panel, one for the main fabric, one for the lining, and also the brim, one for the main fabric and one for the lining. And also I went ahead to use an interfacing. Now do note that when you're making this hat, you need a very stable material that is very stable, very thick cotton. If you don't have something that is very thick, you can interface with a very thick interface so that it will give it some kind of structure and stability. Okay, I've gone ahead to cut out my pattern. I've cut out the side panel and the brim. So take note that the one of the sides will be on fold. For the side panel, one of the side is on fold, and also for the brim, one of the side is on fold. So this is what the pattern looks like. It's looking nice and ready to be cut on the fabric. So on cutting it on my fabric, I have an Ankara, I have a lining piece that I'm will be using, and also I have my interfacing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out this pattern on my fabric and also on the fabric that I'll be using to line it. So you can decide to use an ordinary lining, but I decided to go with this fabric that looks like kind of a jean, but it's not a jean and it's not that thick. So I'll be placing my pattern on the fabric and I'll go ahead and cut it out. After cutting it out, I'll show you what it looks like. Now that we're done cutting out, this is what it looks like. I'm going to just mark the 4 edges of my top panel just so that when I pin it down on my side, I have all the sides together and in uniform. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and join the sides together. For the side panel, I have 2 pieces. For this brim, I also have 2 pieces. So I'll place them right sides facing each other, take it to the sewing machine and sew up each of the sides. I'll do the same thing for the brim, take it to the sewing machine and sew up 2 of the sides. I'll also do the same thing for the lining piece. Now that I'm done sewing up the sides, I've gone ahead to iron open all my seam. For the interlining, for this lining and the fabric piece, I've gone ahead to iron and open up the seam just so that it looks nice and flat when we are about to attach it to the panels. So first of all, what we need to do is attach the top to the side panel, and remember that I already marked 4 points on my top. What I'll do is I'll take it to the side panel and then I'll pin up all the sides. So you notice that when you're pinning up, you have some edges that might not align properly. Just use your thread cutter to mark, you just cut tiny snips just so that it will allow you pin up and sew up nicely. So that's what I've just done. I've gone ahead to pin down all the edges for the top and the side, and this is what it's looking like. I've pinned them down and it's all looking very well, and then I'll take it to my sewing machine and then I'll go and sew it round. So after sewing it round, this is what it is looking like, looking very nice and neat, and you can see that the hat is coming up gradually. So next up, after that, I'm going to be attaching the brim, and we do the same thing we did for the top and the sides panel. All you need to do is to take your brim, and next up you're going to just pin it round and also sew down the sides. So I've just gone ahead to attach my brim to the side panel, and make sure that you match your seams. Okay, you don't need to have your seams running at different angles. So what you need to do is place your seams, your side seams, make sure that they match up, and then you pin it down. After pinning it down, you also take to the other side, pin it down, take it to the sewing machine and sew up that. Close up, join the 2 panels together. Now that we've joined the panels together, make sure that you also cut tiny snips around. You know, this is a curved edge, and so that your seams will relax, make sure that you cut tiny snips all around the edges. So after cutting up all of that, we will go over to our lining and sew up exactly how we sewed our main fabric. We're going to sew up the hat the way we sewed the main fabric, so we'll do the same thing for the lining. Next up, after sewing the lining piece together, this is what it's looking like. I have my lining and the main fabric. We've also gone ahead to cut tiny snips on the lining as well. So make sure that you leave like 2-inch opening on the lining, so that when you join your main fabric to your lining, you have an opening where you can turn the fabric inside out. So I'm going to be placing right side of the lining and right side of the main fabric together, and then I'll pin it down. After pinning it down, I'll take to the sewing machine and sew the 2 at this sew the 2 of them together. So basically that's what I've just done. I pin it down and I'll take it to my sewing machine and sew them together. Next up, after sewing them together, this is what it's looking like. I will go ahead and turn and bring out the good side, that's the right side of my hat. So after bringing out the good side, this is what it's looking like. I have my fabric and I have my lining all in one piece. So this next, what we're going to be doing, it's going to close up that 3-inch that we left, that 2-inch that we left earlier for turning the lining and the main fabric inside out. So I'll just go ahead and use a hand stitch to hand stitch that opening, so we don't have any top stitch inside the hat. So basically, with the way it's looking, you can either wear it front or back. You can either wear the Ankara side or the other side of the fabric, whichever one you choose. Now, if you've watched this video to this point, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, Now that I'm done stitching up, I've closed off that side. Next up, I'm going to be pushing down all of my lining inside, and then I'll pin it down. So the essence is just so that the lining does not always interfere with the main fabric whenever you wear it. Okay, now I've gone ahead to push down the lining inside the hat, and then I'll use a pin to secure it down. After that, I'll take it to the machine, and then I'll run some stitches all around just to make sure that it's properly secured. And after that, I'm going to be showing you what it looks like. It's looking very nice and beautiful. You can wear it inside out, whichever one you choose to. Okay guys, this is the end of the video. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, comment, recommend, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Remain positive, stay blessed. If you also recreated this pattern, do let me know in the comment section. I'll be very glad to respond to any of your questions. If there's anything you want me to talk about, if there's any video you would like to see in this channel, please do not also forget to let me know in the comment section. Alright guys, until I see you next in my next video, thank you for watching, and remain positive wherever you are, and stay blessed. Bye.